All right, what's up, everyone? Trevor here with Tag Performance and Nutrition, and here we're going to jump into another episode of Together Achieving Greatness. But before we do, make sure you are subscribed, click the little buttons, get all up to date on all the information that I am dropping, all the videos, everything that I drop on my YouTube channel here. It greatly helped me out, and I greatly appreciate you for watching, sharing, and just joining in. Hopefully, you're taking something from this and applying it to your life, because that's what it's ultimately about. So let's jump into the topic on this week's episode, and we're going to talk about strength training, but talk mainly about how strength training isn't enough. Oh, well, I can see my little drawstrings are not even, so little there looks better. All right, so now we're ready to go. Look good, feel good, play good, pay good, that type of thing. So you gotta look good, you gotta feel good. That's a big thing. That's what training can do for you. That's what nutrition can do for you. That's what sleep can do for you. Looking good, feeling good, and you're gonna be doing well. But let's talk about, like how I said, strength training is not enough. When it comes, we're gonna stick to training. Yes, we know nutrition, we know sleep, we know stress management. Those are all things we need. That's puzzle pieces. But we're just sticking with the training aspect today, and how strength training alone is not enough. I see all these people out there talking, oh, all you need to do is strength train. Oh, 3 times a week strength training, you're good to go. No, that's not enough. That is definitely not enough. Should strength training be part of your training? Yes, absolutely. You should be strength training multiple times a week. It's a great, and I guess, yeah, if I had to choose, I wouldn't even say one. If I had to choose, for most people, I think if you can only do one, which you can do more than one. You should do more than one. Strength training might be up there, but I think speed training might be even more important. Speed and power. But when you think of strength training, we think of lifting weights, heavy weights, light weights fast, moderate weights fast, heavy weights. I think you should try to move all weight fast as possible, especially on the upward portion or the concentric portion. It's just gonna provide you more stimulus, more ways to adapt, and change your body. Strength training is great because strength training allows us to build muscle, build strength, obviously, and building muscle is going to help you be able to burn more fat. It allows you to stress the body and find different stimuluses. Your body doesn't adapt as quickly, and when it does adapt to a strength training, maybe it's like a barbell back squat, for example. You can change that up into a different squat variation or a different rep range or a different tempo or something like that, and just change up the stimulus a little bit while not totally changing everything. So your body doesn't adapt as quickly, whereas like running, long distance running or things like that, where the body just adapts and kind of can hit a plateau a lot easier than strength training. Yes, you're going to hit plateaus at times, and that's where, like I said, you can change it up in variability. But strength training is great for that. Strength training is what builds that muscle, and muscle makes you look good. Again, it helps you burn fat, but you should be strength training. I'm not saying strength training is bad at all, but strength training alone is not enough. Like you see, like the power lifters, they're not training. Powerlifting is a bad name for it because there's not not a lot of power involved in it. They're not. Olympic weightlifting should be more powerlifting. You think about it, they're explosive. That's where power comes from. But if you think of powerlifters, those are your typical people who just do strength. Look at them. Most of them are big, fat, out of shape, overweight, gigantic human beings. And that's what they do. That's their choice. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I mean, I would never choose to be that. Being overweight, I've been that, been fat and out of shape, and that's not fun. And strength training, just for the most part, it's slow. And that stuff can, like I said, it can be beneficial, but if you're doing everything so slow, like the powerlifting, and you're just grinding and grinding and grinding, that can be hard on your joints and bones and stuff like that. But that's another benefit of strength training too, is it builds bone density, which is important too. But again, it's not all you want to do is just strength train and just It takes a lot of toll on you. It can get boring if you're just doing the same thing, especially if you're just sticking with the bench, deadlift, and squat all the time, back squat. If that's all you're doing, that's freaking boring. I've done that. I've done the powerlifting type stuff, and it's just not fun. It's not. It's just repeating. And your goal is to, if you're trying to be an athlete for life, your goal is not to be great at a back squat, a deadlift, a straight bar deadlift, or a straight bar bench press. Your goal is to be athletic and be able to move well and be strong and fast and powerful and be able to do things in everyday life without pain. And you see a lot of these people who just strength train all the time. They walk around with aches and pains. They can't turn. They have no mobility. They can't bend from side to side. They can't touch their toes. They can't climb the stairs without being out of breath. And that's not what we want. We want a well-rounded human being. Someone who moves well, someone who feels good, someone who looks good, someone who has good health markers, whether it's testosterone or blood glucose or blood pressure, all those different things. We want that. And you're not going to get that just from strength training. Strength training is great, but alone, it's not the only thing. So what else do you need? What else should your training include? Like I said, you should be training for speed and power. I don't care what age you are. Sprinting, yes. And I say sprinting, doesn't mean you have to be Usain Bolt or a track athlete. I've seen videos of like 90, I think there's like a 100-year-old lady who sprints. And yes, she's not going fast, but she's going fast for herself. Sprinting is just going as fast as you can for your body, for you, where you're at right in this moment in time. You can improve that. You can start out, build your way in, find where you're, be realistic with where you're at, and build your way up as you go. That's the big thing. But again, sprinting, jumping, hopping, skipping, throwing, climbing, rolling, tumbling, all these different athletic movements that are going to help you build power, build speed, build athleticism, agility, these different things that you need just besides strength. Strength only gets you so far, especially if you're an athlete too. Strength is important. Yeah, you want to be strong, but just being strong, and there's different forms of strength too. So just strength training with the barbell or dumbbells or weights, that's part of it. But again, you want the power, you want the speed, you want that athleticism, agility, reaction, all these different things that are going to help you just feel and move like a human being is meant to move, which most of you don't. It's just a fact of you don't do something for so long as you get into your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. You haven't done things for so long, and and then you can't do them. You lose what you don't use. So keep doing these things as long as you can. And that is your life. You see these awesome stories of the 80, 90, like I said, 100-year-old track lady who runs and sprints and that type of stuff. That's awesome. That's what you should be wanting to do instead of just being a lazy turd sitting behind a desk or on the couch all day. But again, those are choices you make. So we want the speed and power training. We want the strength training. And I want to get back in. I just thought of like I mentioned, different types of strength training. You have the weights, but you also should, that's kind of your maximal strength, the building weights with, or building strength through weights. Then you got the relative strength with body weight. So push-ups, pull-ups, chin-ups, those types of things. Handstands, that type of stuff where you're building strength in that. Different strength in different positions that you're not getting in just a traditional barbell lifts. And even in sport, as I was saying, you need to be strong in sport, but is a strength in a squat necessarily going to translate to a sport? Probably not. Yes, you're going to build strength in your legs, and you want strong legs, and that's why you squat, is to build strong legs and build muscle in your legs. That's why you bench press, to build the strong chest and arms. But that's not necessarily going to translate to a sport. So things like sumo wrestling type things, you'll see game like that. You have two kids just battling out, pushing each other. That time, think of the offensive lineman battling a defensive lineman, that type of stuff. Strength that way. Strength in, if you're a wrestler, to get off your back and different things like that. That's not necessarily you're gonna get that type of strength from strength training. You're going to get that from doing the sport. So there's different types of strength too, and not just when you're training. You should be training your sport as well if you're an athlete, as in the weight room. So you got speed, you got the different types of strength, cardio, conditioning, and there's so much conditioning, cardio nonsense out there. Trying to overcomplicate it. Zone 1, Zone 2, Zone 3, Zone 4, Zone 5. Find a form that works for you. Don't think of it doing it for fat loss. Do it for heart health as the main thing that cardio is going to help. And just, it's going to help you recover. It's going to help you feel better. Heart rate, like I said, heart health, everything. Help digestion even, especially if you're doing like walks after meals and stuff like that. That can help. So honestly, the best form of cardio is walking. People say it's not exercise. It's exercise. And for 95% of our world where most people are overweight, obese, it's great exercise because it's fairly accessible for most people. If you are capable of walking, you can walk. You can do it inside on a treadmill. You can just walk around your house or apartment or up the stairs, down the stairs, or you can get outside. I mean, in winter here, it sucks going outside when it's negative 20, but still, maybe if you not willing to do that, bundle up like I do, put 17 layers of clothes on and go outside looking like the kid from A Christmas Story, all bundled up and can't barely move. Then walk back and forth to your house. I have a client, Molly, she just says she walks around her house and makes that when it's cold out. So find what works for you. That way you can still do that. Do that while you're watching Netflix. Do that while you're watching a sporting event or whatever it is that most people spend their time wasting on Netflix and stuff like that, where they say they don't have time to train. You can exercise while you do that stuff. Get on the treadmill or elliptical while you got a show on or whatever. There you go. That way it doesn't feel as boring either because you got something else to keep your attention, but make sure you actually have intent behind it too. So we got speed and power, we got the strength training, we got the cardio and conditioning, and mobility and movement, just moving. Gymnastics, rolling, tumbling, I mentioned that stuff before, but crawling, just getting in different positions, challenging the body through different ranges of motion, different weird positions that maybe it hurts to get in there a little bit, but you do it for a while, you get used to it, and you start breathing in there, and that is important. Just challenging yourself, challenging your body, challenging your mind to things it can't do, and then showing your mind what it can do by getting in these positions, doing these different holds, different movement patterns, whether it's bending, twisting, whatever it may be. Hanging from a bar is great. Different positions, you can do that too. So there's so much more to training than just strength training. Like I said, there's even just the different forms of strength training. You have the power. Again, add the power training, the speed training, the mobility. The best form of mobility, strength training is a great form of mobility, but even just challenging yourself in different positions, different moves that you don't always see is great. The cardio and conditioning, find something that works for you. Maybe you are a runner who likes running. I'm not a big distance runner. I think it's boring. And it beats up the joints more than I think strength training does. But if that's you, that's you. Do what you can. The best form of conditioning is playing a sport. Besides walking, that's what I do. I walk, and then a lot of times I go to the Knoll Center here and play basketball. Most times by myself because most people don't have a schedule like I do and can just go mid-morning. But just go, work up a little sweat, pretend I'm good at basketball still, and you're getting athletic movement in there too. So jumping and stuff like that, plyometrics. So that's what your training should include. And then last thing I want to mention is just breathing, breath work. That should be part of your training as well. Again, getting you into that rest and digest state, because when you're training, you're usually wired and ready to go and all ramped up and let's go. That type of stuff. If you're one of those people, and then maybe if you do it before bed, you can't sleep because you're so wired. That's where breathing work comes in. It helps you get into the rest and digest, that parasympathetic state where your body wants to eat and you'll be able to absorb and take in and digest the food like it's supposed to, and just relax and get that heart rate back down from being so amped up and high from training or from a stressful day at work. So this is the best way to do it. Box breathing. Get on your back. feet up on like a couch or a chair or something bent at like 90 degrees and just slow inhales in for 4 to 6 seconds. Hold the top, same time. Exhale out nice and slow again. You can do this up. You can change it up. You can train this as well. So maybe you start out, you're only able to do 2-3 second inhales and exhales. Then later on, you're able to do 6-8 seconds. So it takes time. It's harder than it looks or seems. But that's another thing to include in your training is breath work. So when it comes to training, yes, strength training is great, but that is not all we need to do. That's not all you should do. You should be training speed and power. You should be training the different forms of strength. You should be training cardio and conditioning. You should be training breathing and breath work. And I'll throw it in as a bonus. Just train your mind as well. Do different things to challenge yourself, challenge your mind, whether that's reading something or something stimulating, or like they got these games and stuff like that. Brain games or whatever they're called. Challenge yourself, challenge your mind, work on that, train your mind to be better, to not always be so negative, to know what's right, wrong, to think for yourself, those types of things. But that's what I have for you this episode, guys. Hopefully it helped. Again, maybe not all of it helped, but take what applies to your life and apply it and use it and build on that. But again, different forms of your training should include these different things if you want to be an athlete for life. If you have any questions, reach out, drop them in the comments, and we will talk to you again soon. Let's unleash greatness.